Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world on what seems to be a mixed sunny and rainy day. Really fun little bit of weather pattern going on here. And before we get started, I wanted to note that we hit an interesting little milestone, is that when I went to fire up the game, I saw that our world had been loaded for a total of 200 hours and 0 minutes. So we are into our first minute after 200 hours. That's pretty cool. We're also at about 8,500 subscribers over on YouTube, and that means we're getting close to an interesting milestone, the 10K milestone. And I am undecided yet as to what to do about it. So we're going to have some discussions between here and there and figure out what to do, because I want to do something special, but I'm not really sure what yet. Now, between episodes, I have been a busy bee. As you can see, I've harvested all of our trees, and the fruits of our labor, literally, are down here. We got 3 stacks of pink apples and 1 3/4 stacks of pears. Now, that was not all that I was up to. I was pushing along some more cottage cheese to see if we end up with blue cheese over here. I still have no idea if this is going to spoil and disappear or turn into blue cheese. I guess we'll find out in 4 days. But I went out and I ended up selling most of the bread that we had made, and on the way, I got a few more apples. So these were apples from trees other than our own, but I wanted to keep them separate just so you could see a count of the comparison. Now granted, this was from 3 trees, this was from 1. There was a much more fully grown apple tree on the way to the treasure hunter trader. But I'm just going to eat the rest of our bread. We need to get our grain up, but we did. Until recently, I suppose. But while I was out, I also came across a couple red winecap mushrooms. Just only 3. And since last episode we didn't get to plant them or do anything with them, I thought we should do that today. So mushrooms are a little bit of an interesting thing in Vintage Story, in that they grow wherever they grow, based on random world seed generation stuff, and it does look like they come and go with the seasons. When it is too cold or too hot for them, they won't grow. Makes sense to me. And you can, of course, harvest them with a knife or by hand, and you can eat them, use them in meals and so on. But did you know you can actually plant them? You can't plant them back on the grass or anything. You need to have a planter or a pot. So if we were to put a planter here, we could fill it with mushrooms. Is that cool or what? Now, the thing is, the spoil timer on these does not stop when they're in the planter. So they will still spoil. However, they won't actually disappear and turn into gush until you break the planter or the pot that they're in. Now, I wanted to kind of find a spot here to put one of these things, and maybe this corner is where it should go. Let's put this mushroom there. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Maybe we could put one over here too. There we go. And maybe we need one inside somewhere in a pot. Let's see, what kind of surface could use a mushroom? On here? Nah, that kind of hangs off too much. What about in here somewhere? Maybe even on this table, although I don't want to have both tables taken up by plants, or in this case, fungi. Maybe somewhere on the ground, maybe over here. How about here on the end of this? Oh, that's cute. You get different size mushrooms depending on what block they're in. Interesting. Now, that wasn't the only fruit of my adventure when I went to visit the traders again. Unfortunately, we didn't get any more glass. The Locusts trader was selling only brown and green glass, and green glass is still not what I want. Besides, we can make that pretty easily. No, instead we got some paintings, and I think we should hang a couple of them at least, because we have a blank wall over here that I do want to put something on. I'd also love to put something here, but we can't because this is not a solid face. This is 1/4 of a block, so we would have to chisel our own kind of painting here, which we might do in the future. Now, we have a nice grounding brown color here. I was thinking maybe over this tree, do something dark. Yes. Oh, I like that. Do I like any of these others better? Not that one. No. Ooh, that's very other black gamey in color intensity, isn't it? Wow. I think I'm going to go with this one. I like that a lot right there. It's a picture of us. That's me in my, I guess, blackguard armor. Now, these other pictures we could put elsewhere if we find spots that I think I might like to have them. Now, we're also going to probably have maybe one more room up here somewhere I might open this up into a room here. I'm really undecided as of yet. But that is going to come later because this episode is going to be about something else. And that is, if you've been noticing as we walked through here several times, is that we have some very empty bookshelves here and also in here. We have some empty bookshelves on this side of the room. And we really only partially filled the shelves over here. Although I did find there are some more books that we had sitting around in a chest over here. It was our spare lore documents. So we could put these up too. But today is going to be about bookmaking, bookbinding, and that's going to involve leather working, dyeing, and paper making. I don't have a bucket or a barrel to show you paper progress in it, but we will get to that. So, bookbinding. Bookbinding, how do we do that? Well, it can be as simple, if you're not too picky about what color books you get, as taking some leather and some paper. We have some up here we bought from various sources, and you combine them in your crafting grid like so. It takes 8 parchment to make a single book, in this case a brick red book. Now notice this says brick red book, which means that there are probably other colors, right? Well, you'd be right. As you can see here, we have a plethora of colors to choose from. Now, anything below where it says teal, and we get to the aged books, we can't actually make. Same with the aged lore books. But anything up in here, we can make ourselves. Brick red books require just leather. Cherry red require red leather. Dark beige are yellow and regular leather. Dark gray are gray and black. We have a dark green with green and black. A dark olive with green and gray, which is kind of weird that the dark olive is darker than dark green, but uses lighter colors. A gray book with gray and gray. An olive book with yellow and green. Orange book with orange and orange. A purple book, very vibrant. A purple-orange book with orange and purple. And a teal book with blue and green. Oh, and I missed one, the orange-brown book, which is more of like a yellowy color, like a golden color. So all of these kinds of books require leather of different colors. And that is why we have a wide variety of colors available over here. Now right now we only have a few of them made. We have some pink, which is made from cranberries, some yellow from onions, green from grass, blue from woad blue dye, or from the yellow flowers called woad, and some purple, which I believe was made from black currants. So we are missing red, orange, brown, gray, black, and white. Now, of those color options, the only 2 that we can't make right now, I think, are orange and red. And orange is because we need onions for that, and I kind of slept on planting onions, so they are still babies, unfortunately, but we can do something about the red dye. So for the moment, orange is not a possibility, but we can fix the red, the brown, the gray, the black, and the white. So let's get moving on that first, shall we? But of course, we're going to first need to start with some water in all of these. So let's go ahead and we're just going to fill all these up. And I'm going to go ahead and fill up these guys back here too while we're at it. Okay, so for brown dye, brown is actually pretty easy. All you need for that is some acacia log or oak logs, and you're going to make strong tannin as if you were doing it for leather making. And strong tannin will provide a brown color to anything you put in it. Now, you'll notice that there wasn't any brown dyed leather. That's because leather is naturally brown. So we won't be using that today, but I wanted to show you that you can do that if you wanted to. For grays and blacks, we're going to turn to either metal scraps or rusty gears. I think we'll use metal scraps instead today. And these will need to be generated in smaller amounts than 50. We're going to take out 2 liters and we're going to put in 6 of these metal scraps, which will give us 48 liters of gray dye. Go ahead and seal that. We're going to need 6 more in here after we take out 2 liters again. There we go. And we're making 2 barrels of gray dye because in order to make black dye, you have to start with gray dye and then put more of these in to get the black dye. Now, white dye is a bit of a special case because we're going to be using powdered borax. If you put borax into a barrel with water, you're typically going to get diluted borax. We don't want that. Now we need to actually turn this into white dye, and we're going to take a look at the handbook for information on that. So if we do diluted borax, we'll do 5 liters to 2 borax. If we want white dye, though, we do 4 liters to 2 borax. So we need to make sure that we put this in basically all at once. So we're going to do 48 liters of water. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put in 24 of this borax right here. So there we go. You'll see it doesn't go to the diluted state right away. It'll turn into 48 liters of white dye after 8 hours of sealing. Go ahead and seal that. Now, I did say we can handle making a red dye today, and that's because red dye is something you go and basically dig up out of the ground. You need cinnabar. So we're going to go and see if we can find some cinnabar around the area here in the morning, because if we look at the map here and get our pro pick out, you'll see that over here we have poor cinnabar at 0.3 per meal. That's not very high, but I find that cinnabar is usually only around 0.3 to 0.5 at the very top end, and I've really never seen anything above poor. So we're going to do a bit of prospecting in the chunks around this one, see if we get a higher readout somewhere, and if not, we're going to pick a spot and we're going to dig. So, I'll see all of you in the morning. Alright, good morning everyone. Let's take a look and see how well our space did down here. Looks like we are drifter free, despite there being drifters out and about today, this morning. And just for any of you doubters, I did come in here and fix this between episodes. Forgot to show that off before now. This, by the way, is called a coin. I actually had a couple helpful commenters point out the name of this thing where you have a brick bracing on the corner of a wall. It's called a coin, spelled Q-U-O-I-N, not like, currency, but it is pronounced like the currency, or sometimes can be pronounced coin, where you sort of emphasize the U. Anyway, that is your linguistic lesson for the day. Let us be off to where we're going to harvest some cinnabar, hopefully. Oh, and hey, since the trees have grown since I harvested them, we're actually going to get a bit more fruit out of that, which is amazing. Realistic? No. Amazing? Yes. Oh, get out of here. Get. I'll spank you. Okay, so here we are. I think we're just going to go ahead and do our sort of dig down and just grab some stone down here to take our samples. So let's go ahead and see what all is here in this chunk. So we have very poor cinnabar, 0.2. Okay. Let's go south here then, right into Baratory. Let's take one right between these little lakes here. We have very poor again. Let's check out this one over here. 0.3 again, which isn't too bad. Okay, well, I'm going to keep mining around and looking for this and prospecting. And once we find the highest concentration in the area, I'll bring y'all back, because today's episode isn't supposed to be about mining. It's about dyeing and bookbinding. So I'm going to get to it and see you all when we're back into the subject matter at hand. Alright, folks. It's been a few minutes, and I think this strip here is our best chance of finding some cinnabar. We've got 0.4 per meal in basically all of these, and finding this is going to be basically the same thing we do for any other ore, as we are going to dig straight down with some ladders, and we're going to use the pro pick in the node search mode now to find it, and hopefully we'll get to it. Now, if you look at the wiki, you will see that cinnabar only spawns between 0 and 0.4 in the world. So in order to find out what that means as far as the elevation, you multiply that by your world's sea level, which in our case is default to 110. If we go over here to where this water edge is, you'll see we're at 110. And so that means that we should start looking for cinnabar when we get down to about Y44, although we can probably start lower because our ProPick will search in an 8-block radius above where we search to. So we can start searching around block 37 or 6, and if there's anything down there, we'll find it. Once again, since this is not a mining episode, I'm going to get to it and find some cinnabar, and I'll show you what I find when I actually do find it. If I find it, because cinnabar can be hard to find, especially when all you have is poor cinnabar. So keep your eye on the clock, it might be a little while. Oh, wow, okay. Well, shoot. It's still the first day. I was expecting like 3 days of adventuring. We have cinnabar verified small amounts right over here. Okay. I also found some cassiterite possibly over that way, which is pretty cool. But let's go ahead and see if we can triangulate where this thing is, or play warm or colder. Hey, look at that. We have our very first cinnabar in granite today. We can go ahead and just break the blocks and we'll get pieces of cinnabar. As you can see, it has to be pulverized first. It'll turn into 1 crushed cinnabar per piece that you get. You can also use it as a pigment to write on chests and signs. Let's go ahead and let's mine out some of the cinnabar and bring it home with us. I'm also going to get at least 1 cinnabar block to bring home, just for curiosity's sake. We'll take this one right here. There we go. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mine out the rest of this, and we'll bring it home and talk about how to use it. Alright folks, we're back from that mining trip. We have 2 stacks and change of cinnabar. That was actually a 2-day mining task because it was wildly temporally negative down there. So I had to come up here and restore my sanity. And I also grabbed our apples, our cabbages, and our flax while we're up here. So got some chores done. And now in order to process our cinnabar into actual usable pigment, we come to this, which is apparently still spinning somehow. That's pretty magical. We're going to go ahead and break that for now. Which didn't help anything. Fun. But 1 game restart later to fix the corn making sound, even though it wasn't doing anything. We are here with some cinnabar to put into the pulverizer. And we'll just come back in a few minutes after the wind picks back up. Now, I did want to show you, since we haven't covered it in this season yet, but there are different pigments you can use to make letters and signs. So if we use the cinnabar, we can say, I'm seeing red. And so you can see you get red text out of that. If you use things like malachite, you'll get green text, lapis gets you blue text, and charcoal and black coal get you black text. I think that's it for the pigments, though. I don't think there's any orange or yellow pigment. Now, our onions up here are actually growing pretty well. They might be ready in a couple days here. They just hit 5 yesterday. So before the episode's up, we might actually have a chance to use some more orange dye and make some orange books, but we'll see. That's okay, though, because we have time, and hey, we have some, quote, brown dye, 2 gray dyes, and some white dye. Let's set up that other gray dye so it turns into black dye next. So there we go. Seal you after 8 hours. We'll have some black dye. And here we have some more hides being processed. We're going to get into the art of paper making now. Now, there are several ways of making paper in this game. The first, and by far honestly the best way to make paper, is to take your rusty gears and head down to your local agriculture or commodities trader and see if they have any paper for sale. Hey, we got some paper. Absolutely. Cha-ching. That's almost 2 books worth right there for 3 rusty gears. Now, the reason I say this is probably your best bet... Wow, he wants to buy one for 17 gears? A wolf pup? Really? Things are dangerous. Now, the reason that I say this is the best way of getting paper is that, well, it is. Trust me. I'm a doctor. But no, seriously, in a moment, you're going to see why this is my preferred method. It's because the other methods are just that much of a pain. So, option B involves small hides, small soaked hides, specifically small scraped hides, which you can then take with a pair of shears, put them in your crafting grid, and you will get 1 parchment per small hide. So we just got 9 parchment from that. That means we had to kill 9 rabbits, or raccoons, or foxes, or any combination thereof, in order to get 1 piece of paper each. And remember, we need 8 pieces of paper to make a single book. So we now have 4 books, 5 books worth right here. That isn't a whole lot. Your other option is to make it in a barrel, and that involves the use of flax. If we go to our flax and we take a look in here, you can see that we can make linen fiber pulp by either using flax twine, flax fibers, or clean bandages and water. And we will get a number of linen fiber pulp from that. And then we can take 4 of that fiber pulp with a sieve, which we have not yet touched on in this season, because it's brand new to this season, really. And then we can get a piece of paper out of it. So let's go ahead and we're going to take, say, a bunch of this. Let's see how much we can fit in this barrel. I'm going to guess 32, since that's all we can stack to. I think 25 is more of our... Yep, that is our limit. Just put 25 in there. And let's go ahead and seal that. We'll get 25 linen fiber pulp out of it. That represents 6 more pieces of paper. 6. Yep, you heard me right. And no, if you're going to wonder if we can use larger hides than small and cut them into more pieces of paper per larger grade of hide, well, you're out of luck, unless you're going to use a mod for that. There are mods that let you do that, but in the vanilla game, no. Anything larger than small cannot be used to make parchment. And that, my friends, is why you should absolutely 100% just buy your paper, because that 32 twine put in here could have turned it into 8 pieces of linen, the actual cloth, which we then use for things like turning into windmill blades or turning into armor or chairs and so on. Linen is just used for so many things that using it to make paper seems like a real waste. Now granted, we have a lot of it in here, so I guess that's good, but it's going to take a lot of this to make paper. In short, we might only get around to making about a dozen books today. But I'm going to go and check out Jasper, see if he has any paper, and then if not, well, we'll just limit our bookbinding to what we can make today. Oh, and before I forget, the linen soaking takes 24 hours to complete. Oh, but check it out, we are all done here. So we now have 50 cinnabar we can chuck into a barrel. And I probably should have checked the actual recipe first. This is made with 1 to 4. Interesting, okay. So we will need to take out some water. And we will put in 12. There we go. Okay, I'm off to go see Jasper and see what he has for us. Alright everyone, and welcome back. Unfortunately, Jasper had a whole lot of nothing for us, so we are just stuck with 40 parchment. Good enough for 5 books here. Our paper processing here isn't quite done yet. We have a couple more hours, but I thought we could go ahead and start in on the dyeing of our leather here. So if you'll notice from the books, there are certain colors of leather that we just don't need. You won't find pink in any of these. You also won't find white, and you won't find brown because, again, you can't dye leather brown. It already is brown. So we're going to ignore this one and this one, as well as this one, but we'll put a couple leather in each of these here. There we go. And so then in 8 hours, we'll come back and they'll be all done. We'll actually have some more leather after these guys are done processing, just a couple more hours. And then we'll come and check on the paper in just a minute. Alright, folks, I'm coming in from harvesting most of our trees. And I'm going to go put things away and we're going to make us some paper. Okay, so in this barrel we should have 25 linen paper pulp. We're going to fill this up and do it again, because we actually don't have enough to make even 1 book's worth of paper from that. So in you go. And then let's go ahead and make our sieve. So sieves are made with boards and flax twine. We need 4 boards and 5 flax twine. We can handle that. And there we go. All right. So what we can do here is we can just put this in our inventory with some of this, and blam. So for each one of these, we will use 1 durability from your sieve. And we now have 6 more pieces of paper. So, yep, like I said, an entire barrel full of this pulp doesn't even get you enough paper for a book, which is I'm not sure how I feel about that one. But let's go ahead and let's make some books here. Try to put these away. So we should have leather in a couple different colors. Yeah, we got some red leather. All right. Got some yellow. Green. Blue. It's a very vibrant blue. A deep, deep purple. Some gray. I think we already had some of that. And some black. And we'll get some regular old brown leather as well. Brown dyed leather right there. Oh, here we go. We did have gray already. Okay, that's fine. And let's make a few of these books. I think I liked... There was like a dark green book, I think. Ooh, yes. Green happens to be my favorite color, so I'll make one of those. As well as, I think, a teal book. Maybe it was this way. There we go. Teal's nice. Let's do one brick red book. We'll do a cherry red book. And then we'll do a purple book. Very cool. Very, very cool indeed. And we'll have to figure out where to put all this dyed leather now. Running out of space in our animal bin because of all these bones here we're never going to use. So these books are pretty cool. They can go on a shelf right here, and they are much more vibrant than the books we have in our library already. Let's go take a look and compare them. Yeah, as you can see, here we have some dark olive books. We have dark green books. Books that used to be dark green. Here we go. An aged book that's dark green. Let's pop one of these out of here. I'm going to stick you like there. And put ours next to it. Look how much brighter our new book is compared to the old one. So you can get some much nicer, brighter decorative colors out of these. And I think they'll fit nicely under here. You can do some green and one of these guys. And maybe a couple of these here. And boy, filling this out is going to be a very long exercise, isn't it, guys? But that isn't the only thing you can do with your books. Did you know you can write in them? Now, in order to do so, you need to have something to write with. And we're going to go over that today. We do already have one of these items in our study up here. We have the ink and quill. Now, this is an item we got from the Residence Archives. At the time, I wasn't aware that you can just make these, but let's go and do that now. All we have to do is get us a bowl. Luckily, we have a couple of bowls left here, and we will need a feather with a quill. And we come over here and we get some black dye. And we combine this together in our grid. Formless, I believe. Yep. And we get another ink and quill. And then we can maybe take a seat at our little table here, have a bit of a writing desk. And I believe all we have to do is put this in our offhand, and there we can write. So yes, we can write books. Let's write The Chain Which Breaks, which is actually the name of one of the novels that I've been sitting on for a while. And this is a book about assassins. Boop. There we go. And we can do a couple things. We can sign it, which will seal the book, and I don't think you can reopen it for further editing, or we can just save it. And now, even without the quill on hand, we can at least read it. We can also transcribe them. If we have another book and we have an ink and quill on our hands, we can transcribe it to another book, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put it there, and you can see in the tooltip overhead, it has the book's title that we gave it, as opposed to just the color. I think that is pretty cool. Now, we are going to need to probably fill this out with some other odds and ends. Maybe we'll put like a diamond under here, maybe some lapis, or this isn't lapis, this is cinnabar. Yeah, let's put some poison on our shelves here. There we go. Perfect. Put the diamond there. Maybe a couple seashells. What do you guys think? Let's get us a seashell. Ooh, that's a big seashell. There we go. I wonder if this can go up there. Hey, it can. Nice. So when we're going to come back and do some more writing, we can just grab our ink and quill from there and pop open a book and write away. Now, unfortunately, I checked our onions and they are not ready yet. They're still probably 4 days away from being ready, so we're not going to be doing any orange dyeing. But given that we are basically out of paper and every 24 hours gets us 3/4 of one book, we have a long, long way to go. I'm not sure we'll be filling out that bookshelf there, much less the one in our study, but I wanted to explore this topic with you guys and show you how bookbinding is done in Vintage Story. But as you can guess, since I'm sitting here and looking at you, that's going to do it for the episode. I hope you enjoyed this exploration in bookbinding and dyeing leather and making paper and all the different things that go into it. In the next couple episodes, we are going to probably take another look at the house, and I want to get to work on the second floor. We need to get that hallway filled in, and if we're going to do another room up there, well, we better get to it. I'd also like to move our animals closer to home so I don't have to run as far to milk the sheep and tend the chickens and so on, so that'll be coming pretty soon too. And don't forget, we need to think about what to do for our 10,000 subscriber celebration. I'm going to put my mind to it, and if you have any ideas, drop them below. If you enjoyed the episode, let me know by leaving a like or dropping another comment, and I'd love to have you subscribe if that's your thing. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.